And again, looking at the ranking is not the ultimate answer, but it is a really good starting point. Ace King 10, 10-8 with trip suits, and one of the suits was an ace high suit. So that hand, if I would have to estimate, I would say like that rank is probably between 15 and 20%, even worse maybe. So 1 second, so it was like this. Okay, yeah, 17 to 20%, pretty much nailed it there. Might be a marginal under the gun open. We do have some nuttiness, ace, king 10, 10, 8, but certainly at the bottom of like the under the gun open raising range, most likely. And then the cold call there, we already know from no limit hold'em, but also of course full card PLO that the cold calling range in MP should be tight. Is ace, ace, jack 8, 4 double suited, a qualified hand to go for it. I'm using the S at the end to make introduce a third suit, in case you haven't picked up on that. So best rank is 8, and we do have an ace high suit, we do have a jack high suit, and we have a double suited hand without trip suits. So it's going to be a top 8% hand. So it seems like ace, jack, jack 8 double suited is definitely a good call. You know, in these kind of seats, seems to be okay here as well. But certainly both hands are most likely on the loser end. And I think the flop action was check raise all in. So he checks with top set and really bad playability. He has ace, king, 10, 10, 8, no diamonds and no club. And then the not open-ender, but not flush draw with open-ended straight draw. I think makes a ton of sense to bet here just because we have so much fold equity and we want to get some of his hands to fold there, like hands that are beating us basically at this point. So the money goes in, seems to be quite standard. I mean, playability out of position becomes even more difficult in 5 cards. So going for check raises to avoid difficult runouts seem to be even more important. I don't think MITS, I don't think this is a spot where he wants to necessarily just call, because I don't see as many turn cards where he's willing to actually fold on his equity, given the small jam behind. So even if the turn is at 10, it's getting close. So money goes in here, turns a boat, and takes down the pot, running it once. Now, when you start playing a new game like 5-card PLO or 4-card PLO, I would certainly always try to run it twice. If you think you don't have the edge, you want to continuously play short as long as possible. And if you think that you have an edge in the game, you want to play deep stack, you want your opponents to play deep stack, then definitely run it one time. So maybe that's the strategy here. I think this player, Lucky Kurak, I think is an Austrian player that is very good in variations of PLO and mixed games. So it makes sense for him to try to go deep. Get others to play deep in case he loses the pot is basically what I'm saying. 150, cold call. And the flop is 9-5-5. I would think these static boards are even more sort of like back off boards and shutdown boards, because it is more likely someone has trips or very significant equity. So the blockers that are required probably have to increase in quality in 5-card PLO. Like you need better reasons to bluff in comparison to 4-card. I don't think this hand will become incredibly interesting. The next one, we have MITS or MITS. Well, that is actually quite surprising here. Let's double check once again. So EEE checks down and he shows down. Let me just see. So he has Queen, Jack, Jack, 8-3 double suited. Queen, Jack, Jack, 8-3. Doesn't strike me as a great hand, and also he's going to be in the small blind, out of position against 2 opponents. Queen, Jack, Jack, 8-3 double suited is going to be 26-33. Definitely doesn't look like a cold calling hand in the small blind where you want to be very tight against the button open. Probably better off just folding pre, I would think. The next hand here, right away on table number 2. Lots of action. I mean, I am definitely having fun and learning things here today. Let me know how you guys feel though, which is much more important, of course. 4-bet at this point. I mean, he can shove or call, but I don't think there's any hand that should consider folding. And he's probably going to run it one time again. All right, so he 3-bets here, the ace king. The ace king 10 4 6 double suited, it seems to be very marginal to me. I mean, I'm new to the game. Obviously ace queen jack 8 is very standard to come over the top with, but this is not like, I mean, 5-card PLO is not the format where you have ace king and you generate fold equity like sometimes in short stack situations at 4-card PLO. I don't think anyone is folding against a 3-bet. I would be very surprised if we will see some 3-bet folds today, or more so some folds versus 3-bets today. This seems to be, again, surprising result here at Showdown for me. And let me know how you guys feel about these kind of combinations here. We have ace king 10 4 6, like the 4 6. I just don't think that is going to do that well. Well, it is, in fact, it could be a top. Well, he has actually an ace high suit and a 6 high suit. So it's going to be like in the 17 percentile, 15 percentile probably. Like one of the suits is an X and one of the suits is a 4-6. I think it's going to end up in the 17 percentile, 15 percentile. So this is definitely a wide 3-bet. Let's start off right there. Definitely a wide 3-bet because of the disconnectivity and the low suits. I mean, a 6 high suit just can't do that well. Money goes in the flop, very standard. Top 2 pair against the wrap. And it looks like he's going to run it one time because he wants his opponents to become deeper stacked. Feels like he's going to have a bigger edge that way. And see another hand. So here we have an open raise from MP from the same player. 3-bet from Andre, who's now deeper stacked. And, you know, if you want to learn more about like what are the stronger hands in terms of like the ones you should consider 3-betting, you can also check out right over here, like the top, let's say 5% of hands, right? And then you go into show hands, and then you can check out what the top 5% hands are in 5-card PLO. You see a lot of aces if we are taking the aces away. So no aces. We're probably going to get right into the kings, the ace, ace, king, like the ace, king, king, queen, queen, double suited type of hands. And if you go at the very bottom, you can see actually that, I mean, there are a lot of combinations. Let me just go even further here. So if you go to the very bottom over here, then we can see that the weakest hand in the top 5 percentile is going to be like queen, queen, 10, 9, 8 double suited. So like really strong hands. It never goes down to the lower rundowns, obviously, because it's equity driven when it comes to this ranking here. And basically high pairs that are double suited and highly connected really like are in the top 5%. So probably these are the types of hands we want to look out forward to 3-bet. And then let me just double check if there is actually a hand in here that has no pair. So we're going to remove now the pairs. And we're going to end up with, yeah, 10% of the top 5% of hands, right, have no pair. And these are the hands. And I mean, it's not a big surprise. It's all Broadway and all double suited, I would imagine. Well, there are some more connected hands down the road. And the weakest ones will be king, queen, jack, 10, 9. Perfectly connected. Club, club, diamond, diamond, heart is one of the bottom hands, basically. Okay. So you can see, guys, like how I'm playfully like learning more about this game. What are the strong hands? Well, connectivity, high suits, 2 of a suit, high pairs really, really matters. Don't overvalue rundowns. Don't overvalue the hands like this one, I would think. Ace, king, 10, 4, 6. Yes, it is double suited, but 46% of the hands are double suited. So I wouldn't put too much emphasis on that. So here we see an open raise, a 3-bet, a 4-bet, and just a flat. Let me just double check if that is correct. I think it is. You know, that being said, how do you balance your 3-betting range? Is it wise to include some lower rundowns for board coverage reasons? The first thing that pops into my mind is that because we're going to have aces and some double suited connected kings in our 4-betting range that have that 5th card, we're going to connect better to lower boards than in 4-card PLO, but also maybe some of the very connected ones that are double suited, not triple suited, like not double suited with a trip suit, could be a nice addition to the 4-betting range some of the time, especially when deeper stacked, because then the board coverage matters more. So maybe like the 9-8-6, like the 9-8-7-6-5, like double suited without a trip suit is going to rank here at 30%. It's definitely not going to do very hot, but I can't imagine we're going to be a big dog against a narrow 3-betting range. But maybe I'm wrong because the suits just aren't that valuable. The fact that our hand is double suited is not adding as much equity to our hand than in 4-card PLO. Because in 4-card PLO, when we get 4-bet, we're just going to get 4-bet by aces every single time. But here, or when we get 3-bet, we're going to get 3-bet by a lot of aces. But in this case, we will also get 3-bet a lot of double suited hands. Like high pairs double suited are Broadway cards. So 5%, let's say a 5% range is 3-betting us. We might consider 4-betting this hand some of the time. Well, it looks like, wow. Well, that is very surprising. So apparently we are a favorite with 9, 8, 7, 6, 5 double suited with a no trip suit against a 5% range. That is very interesting and surprising to me because the ranking doesn't tell so, because most likely the hand is not going to do that well against multiple players, so the ranking kind of drops, but it's going to do very well against one player. What about pocket aces? So, oh wait, this is on this board. I'm stupid, guys. Disregard that. I was already surprised. Again, 5%. Okay. That's the way I understood it. There's no hand that has an advantage over aces, at least. And I was surprised that there is a hand that would have advantage over 5%, that it doesn't have these high pairs. But we have 46%. It makes sense. And against pocket aces, probably going to be very, very similar. Maybe a little bit better, actually, because there are some very, very bad aces in this game as well. That probably I wouldn't advise to 3-bet in the first place. Yeah, that's actually another thought that I have here, is because your opponent is going to catch up so often to pocket aces if you have single suited disconnected pocket aces, that maybe it's not even the wisest thing to 3-bet them, specifically at deeper stack sizes. Okay, let's have a look at the showdown. So Lucky was 4-betting and gets the fold on the flop. Still though, interesting to think about how to balance your 4-betting range if even necessary. My first hunch on these high stakes games here, and this is really from a qualitative perspective, most likely like on the high end, people are probably going to overvalue sort of like PLO hands, maybe 3-bet a little bit too aggressive or defend too many hands, like play too many hands, which is very normal for whenever a new game gets introduced. My approach here would be to buy in short and focus on much more the high cards, like 5 high cards.